Hello, this is Ben, and welcome to Positively Oriented, the podcast where I am basically interviewing people and providing resources for the adoptee community, giving them the opportunity to get involved in communities as well as understanding the challenges and good things, as well as um, listening to other people's stories about being adopted. And that intro could have gone much better, much more smooth. But 没问题.好. In this video, we're going to be discussing what are some of the challenges that Dawn has faced, and it will be a nice, short little podcast video that you can watch while sitting in the bathroom, because that's apparently what most people do nowadays. Anyways, toilets are just filled with people on their phones. What are some of the challenges that you had when you were growing up, and do you still face those challenges, and what were some of the strategies that you implemented to overcome those?
Yes, that's a very deeply layered question. So growing up when I was a little kid, I went to like a private school and I there were a few other adoptees around me, so I felt normal but I didn't consider myself Chinese because my parents were white. When I was younger, I used to see kids with their parents and they were obviously Asian, and I was like, oh, my parents are like white. So I automatically thought I was white when I was a little kid. Um, and I remember my parents put me in that school. My parents like specifically said like, oh, it's because there's a Mandarin school in it. But I always thought it was so hard, and I felt like there's big cultural differences in terms of education with Chinese teachers and Western teachers. I find sometimes Chinese teachers are like strict, so I wasn't really used to that like little kid because like cultural differences. I do have a cousin that is half Asian, and people would always put us in the same box, like, oh, you guys look like twins, or oh, you and the thing is she's like half white, and like my mom great. My mom sometimes would be like, I know she meant well by this, but like people would be like, "Oh, you like look like twins." Oh, I thought you were. Oh my gosh, maybe like blur out her name.
Okay.
Um, and I remember there were times when I was a little kid, my when I looked good, my mom would be like, "Oh, you look so pretty. You look like your cousin." So I thought that I don't know. It was definitely because like she was considered like Asian, but we like she had like a lot of certain I feel like privileges that I didn't have because she does have her grandparents. And in middle school there were the white kids and there were the international students, and there were some um I guess ABCs that were in class, and there were a few of them, but I'd see like the Chinese kids, like the international students, and I just felt so different from them, and I had a lot of internalized racism at the time, and I like really wanted to fit in with the white kids because they were cool and stuff. In grade 11, hanging out with more people of Asian ethnicities, and that was the first time I fully felt like comfortable in my skin because I was like, oh, there's people who look like me. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it was definitely a new experience, but then I don't know, it was like an awakening experience. But then when I started hanging out with them more, I noticed that they were a little bit cliquey and they would like they would speak in their own language and I would feel left out and I couldn't really relate to them about like family stuff. And I don't know, even they would be like, "Oh, you're so lucky though, because you have blah blah blah." And I don't know, I just feel like it completely like disregarded how I felt growing up. And I remember I was friends with this group of international students, and they were all speaking Chinese and stuff like that around like Mandarin around me. I was like, that was a moment where like I knew I never like wanted to be in that situation again, and I wanted to work really hard to feel comfortable with like my own people, I guess. I don't even know, for lack of better words, I don't know. I still do feel like the sense of alienation from like obviously like I don't feel white, but I'm not like Asian because I was socialized for the Western world and my I was raised by obviously white parents, but I remember there was this one time I had a friend and I had a friend and they asked me like asking me about my background because I was really shy about that. Because like in the past people have made fun of me for it because they think it's like a funny joke, like, oh my gosh, you're adopted. But then they said like at the end of the day you were just you, you know? So I don't know, that quote really just hit close to home. I'm not defined to these preconceptions about me. I can make a name for myself and I can make like my own life. And yeah, I still struggle with my own parents not like fully understanding what I go through. I know they try their best and they know they mean well and they try to provide the best they could for me, but sometimes they can't fully provide what I need, and it's something I have to figure out for myself. I have to be really strong in this journey, and my distant relatives can sometimes like throw around like racist like or just microaggressions to me, like they'd say weird things and it's just normalized and I just have to like take it. That's something I'm still working through.
There's all these different challenges that we're kind of facing as adoptees in growing up, and then especially it's really interesting because of with us being ABCs,
Mhm.
that's really hard because we want to fit in not only with the white kids who we grew up with, we want to fit in with um, all of the other minority kids in the school, whether if they're African American, Hispanic, whatever it is, or other Asian kids as well. And which
Mhm.
really is they have their own different cultures, languages, and things that makes it hard for us to kind of fit in. And then we want to fit in with the other Chinese kids, but then there is that I wouldn't even call it a superiority thing of being ABC versus being actually like Chinese because like my girlfriend is Chinese and she uh will sometimes mention ABC but not as a derogative thing but as just a identifier as a categorizer of okay yeah you're very Americanized and things like that. Even people who are born in China and grew up in China but came into American culture and became very Americanized, they're ABC as well.
Mhm.
Um, and so it makes it very hard for our situation to be able to fit in. And it's it's all of those things of like having a hard time fitting in with your family. It reminds me of the book of the duck asking every other animal, "Are you my mom?" But you're not.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you could resonate and really liked and related to Don's stories and my story, then I hope you guys can like and subscribe and share. Drop a comment down below about any of your other stories. Maybe you guys want to share as well. Maybe you want to understand a little bit of my crazy psyche because this was my intros and outros are pretty crazy. Just kind of realizing that. Anyways, yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.